Welcome aboard, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 10th of August. Yes, I'm slightly hungover. No, we are not going to miss all of the news. How are you all doing? I tell you what, today, the reaction post-Brighton has been crazy. It really has. From Arnautovic, which you're damn right I'm going to speak about this morning, to Rabiot, to Michael Knighton and a potential takeover, a hostile takeover of Manchester United. What does that mean? What's the next steps? What about Jim Ratcliffe? I'm going to be speaking about all of that. I'm going to be speaking about Cody, Gakpo. I'm going to be speaking about Adrien Rabiot. Oi. Hey, look, Lee, you're not wrong there. Look, Sam was late up trying to buy Manchester United. Moves are happening, but before I start, look, Vincent, big up to you, my friend. Big up to everybody in the comments. I can see you down here as well. Daisy, I can see you there. We've got Roger, good morning to both of you. We've got Creighton, we've got Danny, Tun, we've got Luke. Good morning to all of you. Vicky, I can see you there as well. Welcome aboard, everybody. Before I get started with this show, I want every single one of you to drop a like on this video for the fact that we helped get this deal booted into the top rafters where it deserved. Marko Arnautovic, it was announced yesterday that Manchester United pulled out of a pursuit of a move for him. When that news broke on Sunday night, it wasn't just the fact that we were looking at a 33-year-old over-the-hill striker that we didn't want. We did a bit of background research as Manchester United fans, and it did not take long to realise the twisted individual that he was, and how, well, from a footballing and a moral perspective, it wasn't supposed to happen. And I tell you what, ladies and gents, that pressure has had an impact. Now, they can talk about the impact of fans all they want, but I think with this Arnautovic situation, what you've seen here is a genuine impact of fan pressure against the club that's so loud that they can't recognise, which, trust me, will lead me into the main conversation we're having this morning. But Arnautovic on Sunday night, what's happened here as a football club is Manchester United on Sunday night put in a bid for Marko Arnautovic, and Manchester United on Tuesday afternoon decided to pull that bid completely away for Marko Arnautovic. Let's reverse and rewind to the European Super League and the massive fallout and reaction that Manchester United fans had about that. And what happened? We went and we got the biggest game in English football postponed in Manchester United and Liverpool in protest of the owners. And this situation here, as I say, Peter, down in the comments, I say, look, I had a few drinks last night. Come on, people, sometimes I can come over here with a hangover. You can let me off, right? Marko Arnautovic and the pressure that Manchester United fans put on the club there has had, whether it's a 2%, 20%, 55% pressure. We can't judge that much, but we know full well that pressure has been exerted on the club, and the club has listened. First and foremost, my reaction to that is, well, it just goes to show how badly run our football club is. The fact that some of us fans can exert a bit of pressure and that the club can go, you know what, they're probably right. Ah, shit, we should have looked at that. We should have done that before. And that's completely and utterly true. But from a positive perspective, it goes to show the influence that fans can have on the goings-on behind the scenes at the club. And trust me, we're going to move on to the Glazers next. So I'm going to go down here and see what you're saying in the comments. Sam had a drink and got a bit of sun. I did. Look, it was a lovely Tuesday night. It was, what can I say? What can I say? Look, sometimes you got to get drunk and just pretend that Manchester United doesn't happen because of the crazy things that are going on at the moment. I'll tell you that. Sam, can they get Kaladzic now? 20 million no-brainer. Hell, man. Jeez, I spoke about Sasa Kaladzic as a potential easy. He was on my list of Ronaldo alternatives. And now, yesterday, I wasn't even going to speak about this, as I haven't even brought it up, but Alvaro Morata's come up. It feels like a drunk end of the night game of Football Manager with your kebab in front of you, going, oh, Jesus Christ, how much have I got left? Oh, I need a striker. Basically, me last night. I need a striker. Okay, Alvaro. Oh yeah, Morata. Yeah, go on then. That'll do. No, what about him? No, maybe Sasek. I don't know. What's Sesko? Oh shit, he's gone to Leipzig. What about Arnautovic? That's what United have been acting like. They've been acting drunk in the last 48 hours. It's been a bit mad. But regardless of anything that's happened to do with the football club directly, look, Vicky's down there saying, look, here is the bias. I need lemonade. I need lemonade. I'll tell you what I also need, Vicky. I need a takeover of Manchester United. And that's going to lead me into the segue here of bringing this clip, from Michael Knighton and comments that he made over on the United Religion channel, run by John Gubber, filmmaker who used to work with Manchester United, if I do believe correctly. I've spoken to John and Michael privately in emails before. Have a watch of this video.
Protesting.
Of course they will protest, and quite rightly. It's the only way they can vent their frustration and disappointment, and hope that the current ownership sit up and finally listen, and ultimately decide to sell their shareholding. My consortium is ready and waiting. The funds are pledged, the offer document is being drawn up, and it will be presented, John. We're still waiting for the great Sir Jim Ratcliffe to come forward, because he solves all our problems, makes my job redundant. But until Jim comes, my consortium will be placing their bid very shortly. That I guarantee.
This really is quite a big claim from Michael Knighton. Now, if you don't know who Michael Knighton is a former director of Manchester United. He was involved in a takeover bid back, I believe, in 1989. Didn't have the funds at that particular moment in time to carry that through. Went to find investors. By the time that all happened, he pulled out of his bid and ended up taking a position on Manchester United's board. Right? What I want to explain here, first and foremost, this is coming from. Let me just drop the link to the video down here. Right? This is the link to United Religion. Okay, that's run by John Gubber, as I said, who I've been in contact with. I've been in direct contact with Michael Knighton as well, and I was in direct contact with Michael Knighton about 3-4 months ago. At that point in time, what he said in that video there, incredible. There's a private consortium ready to buy Manchester United. That bid will be going in very, very soon, and it's guaranteed. His words, not mine. Guaranteed. He used that word. Sounds brilliant, right? And I don't want to come here spread negativity or anything like that, but I have to point out quite an important part of what he said there. And he said they're effective. He didn't say that they're relying on Jim Ratcliffe coming in and being involved in it, but what, in my personal point of view, that video, the purpose of this is to generate a real interest from Sir Jim Ratcliffe. Now, you'll know, or maybe you don't know. If you don't know, welcome aboard to United People's TV. Let me teach you who Sir Jim Ratcliffe is. Sir Jim Ratcliffe was a man that was born 10-15 miles away from Old Trafford. A Manchester United fan as a kid. He lived just down the road. And this is the man who failed in a bid to buy Chelsea. He was outdone by Todd Boehly. He was outdone by Todd. Let's just call it that. He's got billions sitting right there. And for me, what I would say with the purpose of this video here, from Michael Knighton, from John Gubber, from everybody there, is that there is a consortium waiting for somebody like Jim Ratcliffe to come and sit as the helm of that consortium for Manchester United fans. Well, I mean, that's the concept of it, right? It is a fan-led consortium to take over ownership of the club. Because I'll be completely honest here, I still might do my separate video. Look, you know, ladies and gents, anybody who joins me here live in the morning, you'll know full well that I do a video at lunchtime. And my video at lunchtime is effectively on this little conversation here that we're going to be having. Because in my opinion, it feels like something's changing. It feels like something is a bit different. And it feels like the Glazers' strategy, which previously worked so relentlessly, so I wouldn't say flawlessly, but it worked relentlessly at Manchester United, simply put, won't work at Manchester United anymore. I'll bring up some numbers here for you. Kieran Maguire, we know who Kieran Maguire is, the price of football. He's a football finance analyst, and a very reputable one at that. His tweet here. On the 10th of August 2012, the Glazers listed Manchester United on the New York Stock Exchange with an opening share price of $14. If you had invested £1,000 in Manchester United shares that day, on the 10th anniversary, they're worth £814. And of course you can come up to me and say, Sam, look, that's part of a downturn in the market. The same amount invested in Juventus is worth £2,000. In F1 is worth £2,564. And in the Atlanta Braves is worth £1,585. Now, the slow delivery of that was to really emphasize that while I agree that the market has gone down globally, certainly the last few years, but since 2012, others have risen. Manchester United have lost just shy of 19% of their value for anybody who invested in us back in 2012. That's a stagnating business. That's a business which the Glazers now can't afford to reiterate their model, because the Premier League, and this is, as I said, this honestly requires a deeper video, because the Glazers model previously was all about top four finishes, right? That was what the Glazers were built on. Anytime we finished outside the top four, the investment went higher. Anytime we finished inside the top four, the investment reduced. Apart from two anomalies, one anomaly happened under Jose Mourinho, and one anomaly happened under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after we finished second and we signed Ronaldo, Varane and Sancho. And neither of those two situations worked out particularly damn well for the club. But we know full well that the Glazers are the fundamental problem at Manchester United. And I kind of want to apologise for putting this on, but I won't at the same time, because I feel so goddamn strong about the Glazers and about how they are the Hydra of Manchester United. They are the 5 snakeheads. Every single one of them needs decapitating from a hypothetical point of view. And I've done quite a lot on the Glazers out protest, and I will continue to do so. And now is definitely the right time to take a couple of minutes out of your day to just remember.
The Glazers have no place in Manchester anymore.
This group called the 1958 have organised this protest at the club's ownership. Probably 7,000 or 8,000 United fans marched through with flares, with banners, chanting, "We want our club back." I tried to speak to one or two, but the level of hostility among those fans, it was pretty steep. And then the gist is from the club, they say that their club is now rotten from the top down, pretty bare, and that has led to fans to say they want change, that the club is stagnant, it's being allowed to drift, and that they would like change. So very shortly the game will kick off here at Old Trafford, and a great majority, I think a number of those United fans will remain outside at Old Trafford, they say, until the 7th.
and they won't be going straight into the game against Norwich City for a 3 o'clock kickoff. They're going to wait till 3:17. That's 17 minutes past kickoff. 1 minute for every year, and the Glazer family have been in charge.
Just want to watch the world burn.
The money that's been taken out of the club, they're frustrated with that. The dividends taken by directors was at 1.1 billion, he said. United fans up north, United fans travelling their thousands, spending money they haven't got. So all that goes into the mix. So it's certainly no quick fix. And I think United fans aren't finished with this.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gents, thank you all for watching that and sticking around and not turning off. I've done just from personal perspective, I've covered a lot of United over the last few years. I'm particularly proud of these Glazers videos because I feel like they can be bastions that can be used by other people, that can be used as promotion, that can be used to sort of push the movement forward. Because at this particular moment in time, it feels like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but it feels like at some point they're gonna have to fucking realise that they've gone past the point of no return. And I genuinely, for the life of me, I feel like we're getting close to that because it's no longer feasible for the Glazers to have that investment level and expect a top 4 finish and expect just to roll into the Champions League the year after. What worked previously will not work now. The competitive level of the Premier League has gone up so much that the investment required now to just reach a top 4 finish is probably on a comparable level to what might have won you the Premier League 6, 7, 8 years ago, when the Glazers were just enjoying themselves. That's the level that the Premier League has gone up. Year on year, it just keeps going up and up and up. And when you've got the league winners signing Haaland and the second place in Liverpool signing Núñez, it goes to show you that that Glazers model doesn't work for them anymore. They can't rely on that for cash anymore. Man United have made a loss in the last 2 to 3 years. Genuinely, and I don't just say this for the push of a video, it feels like right now there's genuine momentum behind it. Now, of course, it does completely rely on a big coming in. But I just want to say, as I said, I'm really proud of those videos that I did. I've done on all the major protests because I feel like that's my ability to contribute to the cause. I can't be there for every protest. I'm down south. I'm a Cockney fan. It is what it is. But if I can do something like this and affect it from the far, that's what I want to do. That's what I will continue to do. And I will always continue to help any push against these dirty, dirty rats. You'll never see me hired by Manchester United. You'll never see me get a job on MUTV. Because I've got about 94 anti-Glazers videos. I really, really do. And I apologise if it feels like I might have missed a couple of super chats up there. But yeah, I feel really strongly about this. I've always felt very strongly about this. It happened in 2005 before they took over. It happened in 2010 when Manchester United were quite literally the best club in Europe. We were in the midst of winning back-to-back titles. We were in the middle of being in 3 out of 4 Champions League finals in 4 years, and we still protested against the club owners. And we did it in 2021. We did it in 2022, and we will continue to do it. Let's find out. I've tried it before, and I'll try it again. I messaged Michael last night, I want to try and get Michael on here for a conversation. I'm going to email John after this video, and I'll speak to John as well. I've spoken to both John and Michael prior to this video being released, and what they're doing, I like the idea of. But as I said, from a personal perspective, without knowing any more information on it, the idea that they're relying on Jim Ratcliffe coming in and then sort of that's it, strikes me as the fact that they haven't got enough money to formalise that bid. Whether Sir Jim Ratcliffe comes out and decides that, we don't know. And the pressure has been put on him before. But if anybody can send this to Sir Jim Ratcliffe, it would be strange for him to try and go and buy Chelsea, have the millions and the billions, for it, to miss out on it to Todd Bowley because he was late to the party, and to then just sit back and just watch what's happened at Manchester United. It's a strange thing. It will be a strange thing if he continues to do it, and maybe these sorts of conversations, in the same way that maybe people said, look, Sam, you can't influence anything to do with Marko Arnautovic. The club did a massive fucking U-turn because of what happened from the fans, effectively. The fans had to be the moral compass of the club for Marko Arnautovic. And whether it's not going to be a moral compass here. It's only be a financial one. So yeah, that's why I wanted to show that video I've done in full, that previous Glazers out protest. I've done a separate one before that on the European Super League when we stormed the pitch. I'm really proud of those videos. And I just hope that something here can be the beginning of something different. That maybe this is what changes it. Maybe this is what drives it to a different conversation. Maybe this is the point where the Glazers go, you know what? Our strategy doesn't work anymore. Maybe now is the time to cash out. Which is what we all hope. Right? Because I hate having to explain this. I'm going to do this one more time for anybody on this channel right now who doesn't understand it. And I really don't want to do this anymore. Because people will sit there and say, Sam, man, the Glazers have invested I think only 2 clubs have invested more than them since 2005. They've invested over £1 billion. How can you be angry at the owners who have put that much money in? Handbrake. Slap that comment out. They haven't put a penny in. The Glazers bought Manchester United using £600 million of a loan that they leveraged onto the club because they didn't have the money for it. And as Kaveh Soliho has said correctly on Sky, and that's a big difference here that we're seeing at the moment, is they're not just kind of talking and joking about it on mainstream media, they're fucking talking about it. And he went into a good 3.5-minute conversation about it. So fair play to you, Kaveh. I think you're a bit of a weirdo, but I think that was a really good moment for you as your peak. I'll call that your peak. 15 years ago, more than that, was it? 17 years ago, they bought that. 600 million in debt. That debt is now still the same. 600 million is still the debt 17 years later. Because all we're doing is paying off the interest on their loan that they leveraged onto the club. And any penny that we have spent as a football club has come not from the pockets of the Glazers, but from the pockets of the club and the club's earnings only. Those pockets which are getting shafted of £11 million pounds year on year on year on year. Even in years when we make a loss as a football club, we're going to take those dividends, and take those dividends. And the only club in the Premier League who has owners who do so. I really don't need to explain it to... I really don't need to explain it to you. You all know full well about the Glazers here on United People's TV and how often I've talked about them. And we can't get Man United back as a football club until Vecna leaves. And in the first season, we've talked about the Demogorgon. Who was the Demogorgon? I don't know. Louis van Gaal, if you want to know. David Moyes is probably Demogorgon. Second season, can't remember who the evil was. Was it Mind Flayer, was it Mind Flayer in the second season? And Mind Flayer's been there all along. You kind of get my Stranger Things reference here. We can knock all these enemies out. We can do whatever we want. But ultimately, we're fucking staring at Vecna. And for years and years and years, and we're coming up right now to season 5, baby. Sod knows what's happening in season 5, right? But that little Vecna motherfucker, we've got to get rid of him. And fans do what they can to try their best to flip that upside down back the right way around, because Manchester United as a football club, as an entity, is completely upside down. I'll be completely honest, man. That the Stranger Things analogy completely sits in there, because you can talk, and it's called root cause analysis. You can identify all these problems here, all these problems there, but that one there, that's the evil that we've been not able to root out, and we have to get rid of it. Right? That's what I think. And I apologise, by the way, anybody, if I've actually just done what I hope I haven't done and spoiled anything. I don't think I spoiled too much. I think I said names rather than what happened. But we can have conversations here about empty Old Trafford. I've seen that trending over the last, 24 hours. I'm trying to get in contact with the 1958 to see the validity. Sorry, it's a hard word to say. See what's going on with that situation, because I love the idea, right? Empty Old Trafford. Old Trafford is empty when Manchester United take on Liverpool. What a fantastic image and what a fantastic impact that would have. Yes, it would, but I want to understand who's behind that, because that's the sort of thing which cannot be done by a couple of tweets, which cannot be done by a couple of decent influencers or accounts. That is a situation which needs a collective movement. And if you don't do that right, you end up embarrassing yourselves a little bit more, because you're going to get patches, and it needs to be a collective. But yeah, first of all, I'm hungover. Second of all, we want this man to take over. Third of all, we want these guys out. Feels like a bit of a rant's the wrong word. It's something that, and again, passion is the wrong word. It's just something that's so fundamentally core to me as a Manchester United fan that it hurts to see the continuation and the stranglehold that the Glazers have, and their ability to just drain the ambition away from the club year on year on year, and to the point where we're talking about signing Marco and Arnautovic until the fans have said, you know what, man, Marco and Arnautovic, are you kidding me? And the club said, actually, you know what, fair enough, you're right, sorry about that. That just shows that we're correct about Manchester United's short-term planning. The fact that we can go from putting a bid in for Arnautovic on Sunday night to on Tuesday going, wait, hold up, we changed our mind here. Keep doing what you're doing, everybody, is what I would suggest. Whether that would be tweeting Glazers out with a hashtag, whether that would be going and being part of the 1958 protest before the game against Brighton. You do what you can do, because do not underestimate the power of a collective. We showed it last year by getting the game against Liverpool cancelled. Well, I say cancelled, delayed. We showed it here with the Arnautovic situation. And there are other examples of it. Fans do have power. European Super League is definitely the greatest example of it. And then that protest happening. And I just hope, as I said, this is probably the thing that gives me more hope than anything, because I know how greedy the Glazers are. The fact here that they're looking at a 20% drop on their initial investment, at some point the Glazers might go, you know what? The money it's going to require for us to get our investment back up to our original level is not going to warrant the investment that it is. So it's probably in our best interest to sell the club. That is the best situation. And I'll leave it on that. I wasn't expecting to speak about that for that long. But you know full well, first of all, that I'm hungover. I haven't mentioned that yet. Second of all, it's the fucking Glazers, man. And I hope this momentum can continue in the right direction. I hope this Michael Knighton conversation can get taken further down the line. I hope this isn't the end of it. I hope this is just the beginning of something different that we're taking going forward. But make sure, as I say, you stick around here. I'll try and do what I can to push your voice as well as my voice, because you always have more of a power as a collective rather than a set of individuals. And I hope that's what we do as a community. And what I want to do now quickly, let's just wrap this up. Last 5-10 minutes of the show, and let's speak about the transfers. You'll know full well everything I covered yesterday and how crazy it is what's going on at Manchester United at the moment. It really is bonkers. From covering everything that we covered yesterday to covering everything we covered the day before with the Arnautovic stories, with the Rabiot stories, to yesterday with the Gakpo stories, with the Milinkovic-Savic stories, with also updates on the Rabiot stories, and then us pulling out of Arnautovic, and then Michael Knighton coming in saying that, oh, we might fucking buy the club. It's, honestly, it's crazy. It's not what we want. We want smooth sailing, man. We want a boring few weeks. We want us to be tentatively linked to a random player that we're not going to sign. And that's it. Just watch everybody else sign their players whilst we sit back, pina colada in hand. And I didn't have pina colada last night. I had a couple of mojitos. Big up to mojitos. Whilst we just watch the transfer window unfold in front of us. Instead of it, we're sitting here watching a pure madness. A pure madness from Manchester United. Unexpected madness. Honestly, I don't care. I understand if we want to have an argument here in the comments about Adrien Rabiot, is he a good signing? Is he a bad signing? You can have an argument about that. The thing you can't have an argument about is that he was not. He wasn't anywhere near on top of our list, surely. Manchester United are working hard on signing Adrien Rabiot as a priority for the midfield. That is coming from Fabrizio Romano. I am going to do a video maybe tomorrow, maybe later in the week. I'm actually going to a wedding tomorrow for a couple of days up in Scotland, so we won't have a live stream on Friday. It's going to be a little bit of a busy August for me. I'm not going to be here for a few live streams, but I think you'll let me off. And there's a really important question here from Vicky. It's definitely mojito over a margarita. Margarita, is it margarita with tequila? I think it's margarita with tequila. And it's mojito with rum. Oh, mojito has to be the best sunshine cocktail that exists. But Rabiot, I was very negative when the Rabiot news came out. I put my hands up and say that I probably got swept up into the emotion of the day. I stand by the fact that this is not a top tier choice for Manchester United, but I also stand by the fact that I think you're right. The Rabiot could be a good signing, and he's going to be one of those players you can put him right in that Paul Pogba shadow that's just left the club. The Paul Pogba shadow that I did not want to fill. It looks like we're going to be filling it with Adrien Rabiot, with the baggage that comes with it, and with the questions of saying, what if? That's what you need to write above his head, is just a pure big what if. Because if it does work out, it's going to be hailed as a fantastic signing, a cheap signing. Look how much of a bargain Rabiot was. But let's be honest, we've been here before and we've been stung many, many times before. A couple of really important comments coming in here. Got Ryan saying more of a Long Island iced tea. I had Long Island iced tea. Actually, I had 2 Long Island iced teas. I had 2 mojitos. I don't know. I had loads more as well. Strawberry daiquiri. A good frozen strawberry daiquiri is a good one, I'll be honest. But it's got to be a good one. None of that like syrup shit. We're talking full on strawberry daiquiri. Pina colada. Nah. Not a big fan of coconut. But it's alright. Everybody can have their own opinion. Rabiot, it looked like it's going to get done. And then yesterday, as I said, since the Brighton game, honestly, it's like Duke Nukem. Like, just 2 guns, just like that. Everybody just going crazy. That's what United have looked like in the transfer market post-Brighton. Because the Cody Gakpo situation emerged yesterday. Now, you'll know full well, here on United People's TV, I spoke about Cody a few weeks ago when I spoke about potential replacements for Cristiano Ronaldo. In that same video, I spoke about Sasa Kaladzic. In that, I mentioned Cody Gakpo as an Anthony alternative. I stand corrected. And it's exactly where Manchester United are looking at Cody Gakpo. One thing I want to say here is this. Cody Gakpo would be a very exciting signing. Yes, you can talk about panicking. Yes, you can talk about timing. Yes, you can talk about X, Y, Z. But Cody Gakpo will be a very exciting signing for the left wing. Also can play through the middle, can play across the positions. I would be pretty excited by that signing. David, I go over here and I can see your comment down there. What are you saying? You're saying, where is he? Damn it. There are too many. There you go. I don't want cheap signings. I'm not looking at Cody Gakpo and saying, oh, this is just a cheap 35 million, by the way, is the price tag of him. I'm not looking at that. I'm putting that in the same sort of category and understanding that Erik ten Hag is looking towards the Eredivisie and looking towards what he knows and what he's seen as a coach, because he can't trust his scouting department. And let's be completely goddamn honest, I think Manchester United have proven that they can't trust the scouting department, because they, I don't know how I don't want to know what the diagram was that ended with Marko Arnautovic as the answer. It makes no sense to me whatsoever. At that point, presented with targets, presented with something rather than nothing, you're damn right that Erik ten Hag is going to choose somebody. And you're probably damn right that Erik ten Hag is going to choose somebody that he's worked with previously. But we've been told that Manchester United is starting to do background checks on signings before we go after them. And that's ruled us out for a few players. How much background research was done on that lad? Because it did not take long to unearth everything you needed to not sign him. And I'll be completely honest, it wouldn't take very long to unearth this either. For a manager who's so built on discipline, the Rabiot conversation is something that Erik ten Hag's really going to have an individual management plan for. If he comes into the club, and I'm not doubting Erik ten Hag's ability to do this, but it's what's going to have to happen, Rabiot strikes me, from an outside perspective looking in, as somebody that will need an individual management plan. Not somebody that you can just manage like McTominay or Fred or any other player. You're going to have to tweak it. You're going to have to work it around him. And I didn't personally want that sort of baggage coming into my club this summer when we finally got rid of Pogba, of Cavani, of everything that was in between. That's my opinion on that one. And I'll apologise, by the way. It feels like when I was speaking about the Glazers earlier, it feels like I think I missed a few super chats. Let me see if I can try and get one here from George Fu. You're saying, to all fans, let's get behind Manchester United and take it over from the Glazers. Stop blaming Ten Hag. Even Klopp and Pep will fail at Man United. Our divided opinions up to and including Ten Hag will only diffuse our efforts. We changed everything except the owners. Come on, let's unite. It's a cracking comment there, George. I really appreciate that, as does everybody down here. It is tough to get a united voice because there's a different way of approaching that voice, and there's a different way and integrity where that voice is projected, and that comes out through the different channels that exist online. Lots and lots of you join in for what I hope is a show where we actually genuinely interact with you, where there's a bit of intellect, a bit of research, and hopefully a bit of insight. It's kind of the main thing I focus on. Other channels, maybe their priorities focused elsewhere. I don't know. And it's not just a case of trying to pit one against the other, because it really isn't. I would love us, everybody, to come as a collective. And that's what we're hearing from Michael Knighton. I think I need to get him on this channel for an interview, all right? I need to get him on this channel for an interview. I need to push this forward, because that concept there, that there is a consortium waiting to buy Manchester United, is one of the most advanced conversations and thoughts we've had of getting rid of the Glazers. That needs to be explored more. and I want to speak to them. I want to speak to him directly about it. To finalise on the rest of the transfer news here, this is coming about Milinkovic-Savic. Samuel Luckhurst saying that Manchester United considering a €68 million bid for him. I spoke about that yesterday. I think Milinkovic-Savic would be an absolutely, let me zoom in on your face, beautiful man. Cracking beard. Look at that. Look at that growth. Arsehole. Anyway, nice bloke. He would be a significant upgrade on Scott McTominay. My word, it's not even comparable. It really isn't comparable, man. Milinkovic-Savic would be a fantastic signing, but also a signing which absolutely in no way, shape or form replaces Frenkie de Jong. So the idea of Milinkovic-Savic and Frenkie de Jong are two separate conversations entirely. But I want to finish again today by saying that the idea that Michael Knighton is going to be spearheading a consortium to take over the club, that's something that we have to get behind as fans. I'm going to try and speak to Michael, speak to John, see what we can get done, maybe get an interview on this channel. If not, I'm going to push and help the 1958 and do whatever I can from my position and the platform that we've got to get these fuckers out of the club. Because I have been doing this for years. I will continue to do this for years. It is the common denominator. It's not being a greedy United fan going, oh shit, we've not spent enough in the transfer window. Oh, if only we spent X amount more. We spent so much when we've had a drunk Ed Woodward spending the money. And that's part of the problem. It's not all the problem. Let's keep pushing, doing what you can do. Does that involve an empty Old Trafford for the Liverpool game? As I said, I want to try and find out a bit more about that campaign before I put my back in towards it. But if it's there and it's genuine, then you know full well that I'll back it. But thank you very much, everybody, for joining in. I apologise for being slightly hungover. I'm sure you let me off. Make sure you drop a like on the video. I'll speak to you soon.